No big dialogue today. Just we'll open it right up for questions.
Governor, your reaction to the state Senate rejecting two of your cabinet secretaries, Mr. Kevin Corbett and Chad Mercer?
Yeah, you know, the big picture here is I have been advocating for tax cuts and school choice. I just came off the campaign trail. I believe parents want that. So popular. People want the best education possible for their kids. So the good news is we all want that. We all want pay raises for our teachers, and so it's disappointing that sometimes politics get involved here. Kevin Corbett was approved by the Senate 4 years ago. This may be his 5th year, and he's just an amazing individual. He was an EY partner, a great business guy, but he's been serving for 5 years, just expanded postpartum benefits for moms and gave rule with our managed care program rollout. We're going to have about $700–800 million more for rural healthcare, rural hospitals. So again, amazing individual. It's disappointing it's caught up, but the big picture is, we're advocating for tax cuts and more parent choice.
At the same time, with these vetoes, do you worry that we might lose some good bills in the process?
You know, here's the deal on the vetoes. I've been very clear. There's lobbyists in this building, special interest groups that come up here and get their bills passed. I represent Oklahomans, and I want two things. Oklahomans want a tax cut. If not now, when? You guys saw my board last week or the week before. We have over $6 billion in savings. We have $1.2 billion above reoccurring expenses. If not now, when? Let's give that back to the taxpayer. So until we get tax cuts, until we get parent choice done, we're not going to do all this other stuff for lobbyists and special interest groups. Let's get those two things done, and then we'll be happy to talk about some other things in the budget.
Why are you letting the House run bills that are unrelated? Why are you not vetoing both chambers' bills?
Well, first off, the House has passed the tax cuts. The House has passed my attempt to break the logjam on the school choice package. They passed that back out of the committee. And so, but I'm very happy. You guys all saw yesterday or the day before, the Senate has now passed another school choice. And so now we're talking. They're actually moving. We're moving together. This should have happened a month ago, but now we're actually getting somewhere. And so very optimistic that we're going to be able to land the plane. It's at the end of April here in this building, and sometimes pressure has to mount a little bit, and it happens every single year, it seems like, and I wish it didn't. But we're going to get something landed, and it's going to be great for Oklahomans. We're in a great situation. 4 different school choice plans have passed now between the House and the Senate, and so we're just down to the details, and also great teacher pay raises. The teachers out there should be very happy that we're going to get something across the finish line that's going to help all of education.
Sorry to interrupt you, Governor. Considering the Senate did pass like a parental choice and teacher pay raise plan yesterday, are you going to keep vetoing their bills?
You know, we're looking at I don't know. Stay tuned.
Well, what was your reaction, Governor, to the package of 5 bills that the Senate did advance yesterday? It's a little different. It's a little less money into the overall situation, different tax credit structure. What's your reaction?
You know, the thing I've told both chambers, I spent an hour with the Senate chamber talking to them, and I've spent time with the House chamber and the leaderships of both caucuses, and yeah, there's 48 senators, and they have an idea of how to do a teacher pay raise, but there's 101 House members, and they have a different idea how to do a pay raise. And so that's part of this negotiation, and that's part of our system, is they've got to come together, and we've got to work out, is it for just classroom teachers, or is it a scale, or is it just across the board, or should you pay more for a 15-year teacher than the first-year teacher? And all that stuff is being negotiated. So I like some of the things that the Senate just passed over, and those are the things that we're working on right now. Is let's go now, cooler heads prevail, let's sit down and let's get something across the finish line that's really going to benefit Oklahomans. So again, I wish it was totally up to me, but it's not. I have to get the House, the Senate to agree, and that's why I'm trying to push them together to come up with something that can work for every Oklahoman. And we're close. I know that it feels like there's a little bit of fighting going on, but I believe we're going to get something done.
But would you sign the bills? I mean, based on your understanding of them now, is that package palatable to you as governor?
Absolutely. That bill, the House's bill, my bill, we've got to get school choice done. I don't like the fact that they're capping it. Eventually, it needs to have no cap to not hold back from a family but I like how they tiered it. The Senate did a great tiering job, I thought. But you have to uncap that at some point. So do we get it done this year, or does it come back later 10 years from now when it's another fight? So eventually you don't want to trap any single family. If you have a $250 million cap, you eventually want that to be uncapped.
So what happens when the Senate sends, they are going to send you the transgender for kids ban, the surgery ban, that you asked for in the State of the Union? What happens when that reaches your desk and you're still vetoing Senate bills? This is something you wanted.
Yeah, we'll look at all those things, and I think we're being very specific about certain things. And again, the Senate now is moving. We're talking. This is great. The Senate did a good job of actually putting back another plan back to the House to say, hey, how does this look like? The House has sent a couple things back over to the Senate. This is how this building works.
But they didn't take up your tax cut proposal.
You grab me a water. I'm sorry.
They haven't taken up your tax cut proposal yet. They only took up one.
That's correct. The tax cut is still very, very important to Oklahomans, and that's something that they've got to take up. There's tax cuts from the House is over in the Senate right now, and we need to get those looked at. Again, I don't buy the argument that we don't have the money to do a tax cut. Excuse me. Sorry, thank you.
What's your plan for OETA?
So the OETA bill, here's the deal. There's a couple things with that. That to me is an outdated system. It may have had its place in 1957. Why are we spending taxpayer dollars to prop up the OETA? It makes no sense to me. And then when you further look at the programming, I don't think Oklahomans want to use their tax dollars to indoctrinate kids. And some of the stuff that they're showing, it just overly sexualizes our kids. There's Parents Defend Child Transition on PBS that's being played. There's Elevating LGBTQIA2S plus voices. So some of the stuff that we see that's being programmed out there in that program. And again, if you want to watch that, that's fine. But why am I using taxpayer dollars to prop that up? I don't think we need that, and glad to veto that bill.
Is it the news programming or something on Sesame Street that you saw? Daniel Tiger?
No, those are just programs. Yeah, we can get you all the information, but those are just programs. But the big picture here is why do we use taxpayer dollars to fund a system that competes with the private sector?
But PBS, federally, PBS is funded publicly. Every other state has, a channel on which people can see PBS programming, educational programming, whatever it may be, local components. Are you saying that you don't believe that there needs to be channel 13 or 14 in Oklahoma and we don't need to have PBS in the state?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to put that on 4, 5, or 9, or in Tulsa 2, 6, or 8, that's great. But I don't see a need for taxpayer dollars to be funding a television station in 2023. We just don't need it. Again, nobody fights for the taxpayer, and that's what I ran on. I represent the taxpayer, and trust me, every single person comes to the governor or comes to the legislature to say, give us more money of your money, taxpayer, and we're going to do all this good out here. If PBS wants to be run on 4, 5, or 6, let them do it.
A lot of rural law enforcement rely on the towers that OETA runs to communicate out in areas that don't have cell towers. Rural communities get their emergency warnings through OETA. How do you anticipate bridging that gap for law enforcement? Because obviously public safety is a really big deal for people.
Yeah, I don't think that that has anything to do with our public safety. I think we've got some initiatives right now on communication networks. DPS is on that, and I'm not sure how much OETA is helping on DPS's public safety.
Governor, I think you met with Representative McDougal yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I know someone's trying.
Representative who?
McDougal, or I know some folks are still trying to advocate for Richard Blossom. How are you moving forward, even with clemency denied? Do you feel you still have a hand in his future?
I have not met with Representative McDougal, but you know, we're going to follow the law. And most people think that the governor can sign something and immediately get someone out of prison or pardon someone. That's not the way our system works. Everything has to go through the Pardon and Parole Board, and the Pardon and Parole Board denied clemency. This person has been through 2 different trials and was convicted by a jury of their peers twice. And unless the courts intervene or act, we're going to follow the law.
Governor, what about the NIL bill? You know, this would have made Oklahoma college athletics very competitive, and it was something that Stitt was really pushing for, and now it's part of the vetoes.
Yeah, you know, again, I have a hard time continuing to go along, to get along with all these side projects and promoting athletics and this and that until I get parent choice, until I get tax cuts for Oklahomans. That's my priority. I just came off the campaign trail. I won by 15 points. Oklahomans want a tax cut. We want to be the most business-friendly state in the country. This will help our state more than anything. And we've got to get a school choice package across the finish line. This is our year to do it. And I'm happy to talk about athletics and college sports and all the different, you know, ancillary things that we're talking about. But let's give the taxpayers back something. We've spent $3.3 billion over the last couple of years, and we can't give a 1/4 point tax cut back to Oklahomans. I've asked for a grocery tax all of last year. I've asked for an income tax reduction. Let's give something back. Oklahomans are still hurting with inflation, and I'm really, really, committed to delivering that for Oklahomans.
Going back to the Richard Blossom issue, you do have some authority. You can stay executions, and I think in theory you could continue to stay Richard Blossom's execution if you wanted until you left office, or you could issue a moratorium on executions. Do you see either of those as a viable option in the Blossom situation?
You know, I've stayed his execution once or twice already. So no, I don't see that. We wanted to let the court system play out. And so we don't see, unless the courts act or there's new evidence brought before the courts, we're going to follow the law. And so that's where I'm at on this. And I take an oath to follow the law, and that's what I'm going to do.
Last question. What do you say to Oklahomans who argue that there's more priorities in their life beyond tax cuts and education? There's a lot they want to see state government do. What do you say to those people? Because a lot of these bills are now being held up.
Yeah. I represent all 4 million Oklahomans. I tell them to run for governor. I represent all 4 million Oklahomans, and I know Oklahomans, we believe in lower taxes, we believe in smaller government. If we didn't, then they would have voted for the people that ran against me. So let's get those 2 things across the finish line, and then I'm happy to talk about any other bill that some special interest groups thinks is really important to them. But let's do something for 4 million Oklahomans before we move on to some of these other things.